So today I'm going to show you my process and how I made this poster design. So this was a poster design that I did in my personal time, just for fun and to be creative. So there's no rules, no limits, I can do whatever I want. But with that being said, let's get into it. So the inspiration for this poster actually came from this photo. Something about how dark and ominous about it just kind of spoke to me, and I just knew that I could do something cool with it. Along with that, a phrase popped into my head, "behind closed doors," really got me thinking I could do something cool with it. Just something about the picture and the phrase kind of conjured up this story or this feeling that kind of felt mysterious, and I wanted to explore it. But really the first part of any poster design that I typically work on is figuring out if I want to do it with a black background, with a certain color gradient, or a white background with another kind of gradient. That's typically just how I work, so that's just usually where I start. Now the second thing that I thought was going to work out was putting some other photography on the right in these square boxes. I thought I could arrange them in a cool way, but I'll actually come back and change that later on. Once I had all of that set up in a way that I thought was at least okay, I started playing around with the typography. I wanted to do something fun and unique rather than just putting the typography in the photo and calling it a day. I felt like there was just something more that I could do with the typography that would really push this design and make it a lot more interesting. And so really, I just spent a lot of time just trying a bunch of different things and coming up with a typography layout that I felt happy with. Once I kind of landed on something that I felt happy with, I wanted to start moving over to the other aspects of the poster. One of those being the photography that was going to be on the right. Originally, I thought it was going to be 3 photographs, but what I ended up doing was deleting 2 of them and then just elongating one, so it was just one long box on the right side. After that, I knew I wanted to put something on the top right just because it felt empty, so I knew there was something to go there. I just wasn't sure what. So I just started playing around with some of the textures and barcodes and stuff like that I kind of had laying around in my assets folder. Once I felt happy with that, I wanted to start working on some of the other photography. And one of the last things that I did to the typography was kind of just add some blur and some filters onto it, just so it wasn't so digital, and just to give it a little bit of some rough edges, some blur, just to make it feel like it was a little bit more a part of the poster rather than something that's completely separate from it that was just added in or added on top of. Played around with some more typography below it in the gap of the hallway, but really it just didn't really look that great to me. I thought it was a good idea, but once I got finished laying it all out, it really just didn't sit that right with me. It just felt like more of an eyesore than it did something that really contributed to the rest of the design. So I just deleted it. And then I started having a similar feeling with the barcodes and stuff on the top right. What I had was fine for what I was working on, but now that I'd just been sitting with it for a couple of minutes, it really just wasn't sitting right with me, so I knew that I wanted to go back, redo it, and come up with something else that I would be a little bit more happy with. So I just went back into my assets folder and just started kind of pull stuff out and put something together that felt a little bit more unique and fit better with the poster design. I still feel like maybe I could have done a little bit better on that section, but I don't think what I ended up with was bad. And once again, I tried adding some more typography into the poster, but it just really wasn't working out. It just felt like more of an eyesore, or just wasn't really legible, and so I just kind of abandoned that. And then after that, I was getting to a place where I was actually starting to get pretty happy with how the poster was turning out. And so I thought this would be a good place to start adding in some of the final textures that I would have at the end of the project. And then I also realized that the bottom left was a little bit empty, and so I wanted to add something else there too. And then again, I realized that I wanted more photography, and so I started kind of making this like mini collage on the right side. I wanted that section to be full of images that were kind of cropped tightly and kind of evoked a sense of mystery. Since the idea behind this poster is behind closed doors, I wanted it to feel like you were only catching glimpses of whatever was going on behind that door. There's not a whole lot of context, nothing is really spelled out. It's almost like you had cracked open the door and the photography that you see on the right is just the glimpses that you're seeing. Ultimately, I think this was a good decision to add the rest of the photography. I think without it, it'd feel a little bit bare. And I think having just the one photograph on the right would feel a little bit inconsistent since it's just kind of sitting there and it doesn't have the same color mapping as the rest of the image. So I think in this way, it adds more consistency, and so it just validates the picture being there, as well as enhances the story that I'm telling for the poster. But once I was finished with that was pretty much it. And here's the final result. And who would have guessed? I went back and changed something after I stopped recording. This is a really bad habit of mine, but it's usually for the better. But I felt like what I was doing on the top right was a little bit too distracting with how much white there was. And so it just drew the eye, and I felt like it was just a little bit too much, especially having it in the top right and the bottom left. So what I ended up doing was just taking what I had on the bottom left and then moving up to the top right and then getting rid of whatever I had originally on the top right. While I don't think this is a humongous change to the poster, I do think it's a little bit better this way. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how this came out. It was fun to work on. I got to try out some different things and pull some different techniques and skills and tools and stuff that I don't always normally put together into one poster. But I'd love to hear what you think about this poster. Is it good? Is it bad? Should I have done something different? Let me know in the comments below. But if you found this video helpful or entertaining in any way, I'd appreciate it if you would check out the rest of my channel and then consider subscribing. I hope to see you in the next video.